What's going on, everybody? Just bought this 10x10 storage unit for 200 bucks. After taxes and the disposal fee, it was closer to 300. Some things I liked about this unit. I saw the weights. I saw the dumbbells on the ground. I saw the power tools, the DeWalt saw, and a bunch of the kid toys. So I was hoping for a lot of tools and workout equipment that sells pretty well. And check out all these vintage cards. A lot of the Magic cards were from the 4th series, which is early 90s. There were 3 identical cards that were worth a lot, but the rest were just a couple bucks each. So I use MTG Goldfish as my Magic the Gathering lookup, and this card deck, the Arabian Nights, are super expensive. The most expensive card was $2,800. Unfortunately, I only got 3 of these Desert Twisters, which are about 40 bucks a piece. The rest of the cards were 25 cents to $1 kind of value. But it just takes a couple cards to really change the value of a unit. There were also a ton of Pokemon cards, lots of holographics in the binders. It's going to take me a while to look all these up to see if there's any good ones. None of the vintage, like first edition original Pokemon. It was mostly the newer stuff, so they're probably not worth as much. And then here are some pictures of the older Magic cards. Really nice air compressor, brand new in the box. It's always nice to see. A lot of the time these boxes are just filled with clothes or some other stuff, so it's nice when it's actually the item and it's brand new. A lot of junky kitchenware, Tupperware type stuff. There were a lot of these Christmas boxes that seem to be brand new and vintage, so it's going to take some time to go through, and I'll probably look closer to Christmas time since that's when the Christmas stuff sells better. There were only 3 dumbbells, 2 30s and a 20, but they sold pretty quick, and then a couple kettlebells, and then there was a bench press bench that I didn't get on camera. Really nice Ryobi tools, pretty much brand new. This leaf blower I was going to keep myself. The DeWalt saw was almost brand new, just lightly used. And the Rigid was also in really good condition. Not sure why you'd need an ozone generator, but that was also brand new. And then the Ryobi Sawzall was brand new in the box. The DeWalt tool cases were a little bit disappointing. They were the old nickel cadmium batteries. So these will probably just be 20 to 30 bucks each. It's always nice finding these DeWalt screws and drill bits. Keep them for myself. And then just a ton of Christmas stuff. Brand new lights, decorations, display houses. So I'll just have to store those for later. I don't know why people keep these kind of things in the storage unit. Just a bunch of old rice in a jar. Miscellaneous cleaning products. Never sell for much, but it's nice to keep for yourself. Lots of these Christmas lights can be scrapped for copper. There were 2 Nintendo Wiis. Both of them turned on, but I still got to test that they work. Unfortunately, there were no controllers. Really cool old vintage knife made in Pakistan. Lots of mismatched shoes with only one of them. So those are tough to sell. There's some more of the workout equipment. There are a bunch of plate weights as well. Probably close to 200 pounds. And this is one of the rare units where the purses actually still had stuff in them. Unfortunately, the stuff left was all junk. There are a couple of gift cards to like Subway, Mod Pizza, Cold Stone Creamery, but all of them had like $1 or $2 on them, which is also pretty rare. Most of the time they are empty. Here's the second DeWalt drill. Good thing they came with the batteries and chargers. They're dead right now, but I charged up the batteries and they all seem to work. And then hidden in this box were a bunch of old comics, a couple Power Rangers, and then a series of 5 Wolverines. The Power Rangers seemed to be the most expensive one. The Wolverines were only $4 or $5 a piece. But it's always cool to find comic books and units. These are some really nice waders. They seem to be brand new or used once. And again, most of this Christmas stuff was brand new, still in the box, even though it was really old. Lots of pre-tangled lights, handful of Wii games, some nice Lord of the Ring and Hobbit DVDs. And unfortunately, the game that I think is worth the most is the Super Mario Bros., but it's not in the case, and it was not in the Wii's, so it's missing. Pretty cool concealed carry holster. Some miscellaneous tools. And those screwdrivers actually turned out to be a lot of money. They were vintage and made in America. $7 or $8 a piece. The thing I look for personally is Snap-on. Those tools always seem to be the most expensive. But the cheap stuff like Cobalt, they'll just be sold with the tool chest. Unfortunately, this item was opened and not in the case. The price tag said it was $100, so that would have been a nice find, but it had been used. A couple nice jackets in here. I only figured out they were valuable after taking the video, or I would have pulled them out better. Lots of kid clothes. This stuff will be easy to sell at the flea market. Kid clothes are much better sellers than adult clothes. And they were all in pretty good shape. Some nice kid boots. Those will sell for, $4 to $5 a piece. Huge tote of DVDs. Sold all of these already for $20. Which is a pretty good deal for me. And this was another strange one, brand new in the box. This is something that usually you'd find empty. Lots of good Disney themed shoes. Those seem to sell a lot better. Some kid toys. And then there's a second Wii. It's always nice when you find your own size. Makes shopping for your own clothes a lot cheaper, but these are a little bit too big for me. Lots of the totes were just mismatched stuff all thrown in there. No organization done. Nice set of Crocs. These boots seem pretty fancy as well.
There.
But the problem when they're all mismatched like this is you really got to dig to the bottom to see if anything's hidden in the bottom. Really nice weed whacker. There were no batteries for the Roby one, so I had to buy a couple of those, but the tools were nice enough that I was going to keep for myself. Unfortunately, the car was not in the unit. These nightstands are always the best to look through. That's where you always find the money and the gift cards and sometimes jewelry. Unfortunately, most of this stuff was junk. Lots of these Christmas tins. I think they might sell pretty well for like Christmas cookies and stuff once the holidays come up. Here's some of those Pokemon cards shown earlier. Initially, I was really disappointed that this thing was empty. I thought that it was supposed to be filled, but actually the case is what is the valuable part of it. You're supposed to put them on the back of your ATV, and then you can put your tools and your gear in when you go quadding. And thankfully it collapses pretty well, so it's going to be easy to ship. It's hard to say how much the cards and Christmas stuff are going to be worth. But I think between both of them, there's probably $500 worth of stuff to sell. Lots of Sawzall blades. And I think having all the Christmas stuff still in the boxes are going to make it a lot easier to sell. I thought this was some kind of Christmas ornament or candlestick, but I was very wrong. So these little Fisher-Price toys are pretty cool. There were a ton of them, and they seem to sell pretty good on eBay. Like $4 or $5 a piece. Unfortunately, this action figure was ripped off the cardboard. These two wood nightstands sold for $35. They were made by Lane Furniture, so they're pretty nice, and I think can be refinished or painted. But overall, a pretty good unit. We'll probably make $1,000 on all this stuff. If you like this video and like to see more, please check out the channel and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.